Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to the day 34 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. So the Oklahoma City Thunder beat my Detroit Pistons last night. Russell Westbrook had his second triple-double in a row and his 7th on the year. But it was more than just Russell Westbrook, yo. The whole team played well. Russell Westbrook had 17 points, 15 assists, 13 rebounds. A great game. Victor Oladipo had his 18 points. Steven Adams chipped in with 16. Anthony Morrow had the best game of his season off the bench with 21. But we're going to be talking about something today that didn't really have to do with that game. Whether or not the Oklahoma City Thunder should be interested in Rudy Gay, and if they should trade for him. A few weeks back, rumors surfaced that the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Sacramento Kings were in serious trade talks revolving Rudy Gay. A trade circled around Rudy Gay and Oklahoma City Thunder's Cameron Payne. Since then, trade talks have died down a little bit and a new one has surfaced about the Kings and the Timberwolves, but we're gonna go back to the Oklahoma City Thunder trade. Would Rudy Gay actually work out for the Oklahoma City Thunder? I think it makes sense to a degree. Now, I'm a person that's not very high on Rudy Gay as a player. I mean, he'd go out there and get you 20 points and about 6 rebounds per game, which is around what he's averaging this year, and he's actually shooting the ball pretty well this year as well. But the thing is, he's an isolation player. I'm not too fond of solely isolation players that aren't team players, and Rudy Gay really isn't much of a team player. He's an isolation scorer. Basically, that's what you have to run from. You have to run him ISO play so he can get his bucket, so he can get his mid-range shot, so he can drive to the basket. That's what Rudy Gay is. But the thing is, if there's any team that he's gonna fit with, it will be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder have always played a lot of isolation ball when it comes to either Russell Westbrook or back when they had Kevin Durant. That's basically all it was, a bunch of isolation for those two players, and it worked because why? Because those were two of the best players in the league. They were two of the best scorers in the league. And now they're pretty much doing the same thing with just Russell Westbrook. I mean, it's just Russell Westbrook doing everything on offense. I mean, that's basically what it is. He doesn't have Kevin Durant to defer to. A trade for Rudy Gay would make sense. They wouldn't have to give him much at all because Rudy Gay is a free agent after this year. He's already said that he's not coming back to Sacramento. So the Kings really can't ask for too much when it comes to Rudy Gay because no team's gonna give up a bunch of a player who's about to be a free agent anyway. And if the Thunder really are interested in him, then it would kind of make sense to trade for him now. And here's why. Of course, if the offer was too high, they could just wait to the offseason to sign Rudy Gay to a contract. It's not like they have to trade for him now because while acquiring him would most likely help out their team, it's not like he's the missing piece they need to win a championship. Just acquiring Rudy Gay is not going to win the Thunder a championship. I mean, they're already going to be a playoff team right now. And with Rudy Gay, that's basically still what they are. Maybe they make it out of the first round depending on their matchup. Maybe they make it out the first round, but they're still not a championship team even if they get Rudy Gay. So it's not like they're in a desperate situation to trade for Rudy Gay, but they should do it now for this reason. Basically like a test period. If they're serious about wanting Rudy Gay, it would be a good thing to trade for him because they can test him out for the remainder of the season before signing him to a long-term deal. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like test driving a car. When you go to a dealership, you want to test drive the car. You don't just go to the dealer and be like, give me the keys. No, you got to test drive that car first. That's exactly what they would be doing. If Rudy Gay doesn't work out, then sure, you lost a couple of players. You lost Cameron Payne, a nice young player. But it's better than signing Rudy Gay to a 5-year extension that I'm sure he's gonna want. Also, it won't be too hard to get Rudy Gay this offseason. I mean, not too many teams are gonna be asking for his services. So yeah, I think this trade would actually make sense as long as the price isn't too high for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, they should barely have to give up anything for Rudy Gay at all. Or maybe it would be like Cameron Payne and Kyle Singler for Rudy Gay. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant beat the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. Yo, those three players combined for 85 points last night. 85 points. Kevin Durant with 28, Stephen Curry with 34. Klay Thompson chipped in with 23 of his own. So that's what we've been accustomed to seeing now from the Golden State Warriors. Those three players just going out, scoring all the points. Draymond Green doing the other stuff like rebounding and assisting and playing defense. Draymond Green didn't even play last night. He was out after taking that hard fall, basically chipping over Ian Clark last game against the Lakers. For the Timberwolves, Zach LaVine had another big game. Yo, he had 31 points. You know, Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins both had alright games. They were both kind of off last night. But Karl Anthony Towns was 8 for 21 from the field. He had 18 points. I guess we could talk about the Rudy Gay Demarcus Cousins trade to Minnesota now as well. The proposed trade is either a package around Ricky Rubio or Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine. So I'm guessing it's either Ricky Rubio and Zach LaVine or Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine for Rudy Gay and for Demarcus Cousins. I'm not too sure about that trade if I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves. Of course, it's hard to pass up the opportunity to land Demarcus Cousins. The Minnesota Timberwolves really need a leader, and I'm not sure if you want to bring in a player like Demarcus Cousins to be that leader. I mean, he's never made the first round of the NBA playoffs. He has a bad track record when it comes to attitude. Then again, that could very well just have to do with being in Sacramento. I'm sure being around people like Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, actually having talent around you would help ease that pain. But I think they need another veteran on that team before they get Demarcus Cousins. Someone else to lead that team before they got Demarcus Cousins. If KG was still a mentor on that team, I said go for it. Because KG could keep Demarcus Cousins in line, believe me. But hey, at the same time, I would love to see him and Karl Anthony Towns share the court together. And then of course, I'm guessing the clause is they just basically have to take Rudy Gay along with them. Sacramento wants to get rid of Gay, but then again, I don't know why they want to do a trade with a Thunder for Rudy Gay. I don't think the Timberwolves necessarily want Rudy Gay. I mean, they already have Andrew Wiggins, unless they could plan to move him over to the 2 guard because they trade Zach LaVine and then have Rudy Gay at the 3. But that just seems like too much. Let the Timberwolves trade for Demarcus Cousins if you want to do that. Then trade Rudy Gay over to the Thunder, get the best of both worlds. The Charlotte Hornets got their revenge on the New York Knicks last night. After the Knicks beat them in overtime off that clutch Carmelo Anthony shot with like 3 seconds left, the Charlotte Hornets came back and beat the Knicks in another close game. Former Thunder guard Jeremy Lamb returned to the court last night, and he was a freaking beast. I will give the Thunder props. I do know how to draft some pretty good freaking players. Check this out. Jeremy Lamb, 18 points on 8 of 15 shooting, right? Nothing special. But then he had freaking 17 rebounds. Where did that come from? Goes out and sets obviously a career high for rebounds. I don't know if he'll ever have another rebounding game like that in his career. He stepped in for Nick Batum, who was out last night, and he more than filled in. This Hornets team is just so deep. I mean, they have so many good players who contribute every night. Their bench has been pretty good. Marco Bellinelli's been having a nice season for them off the bench. Spencer Hawes has been playing alright. Roy Hibbert's been doing his thing defensively. And then, of course, Jeremy Lamb's going to be your bench player once Nick Batum returns. As for the Knicks, Cripple McStingus had a good game. He had 25 points and 7 of 16 shooting. Carmelo Anthony cooled off a bit. Actually cooled off a lot considering last night he was on fire. He was 7 of 25 and only 18 points. So not the best game for Carmelo. But you got to give the Knicks credit. They're still looking pretty good. They hung in there. And like I said, I'm not too convinced on Joakim Noah. I know it's not all about like what you see in the box score. It's about what he brings to the team, his leadership and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, could you bring a little bit more to the table in 12 minutes and 0 points and 3 rebounds? Is that too much to ask? Other than that, though, Spurs went out and beat the Washington Wizards. Tony Parker looked like the Tony Parker of old last night. He had 20 points in only 27 minutes. And then, of course, he got contributions from Kawhi Leonard. He had 19 points. And then LaMarcus Aldridge had 24. They went out and beat the Washington Wizards. For the Wizards, is Wall, Beal, no bench. You get the picture. Then the Memphis Grizzlies got the revenge over the Miami Heat last night. Dion Waiters had 28 points, so the GOAT has struck in again. And then for the Grizzlies, Marc Gasol had 28, Mike Conley had 21, and it was just a nice team win for the Grizzlies, who are still looking pretty good this season. But Chandler Parsons is a straight up hustler. This man gets paid max money without ever really playing. And that about wraps it up for the Day 34 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to smack that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more daily NBA videos like this.